The Zaku from GQuuuuuux is back, but now in green with some new parts and weapons. This design, when it was released, was a bit controversial, being loved by many and also hated by many. However, you cannot deny that the model kit itself is great. How well did this design age after almost half a year since we've seen it? Is this version now the best option for the GQuuuuuux Zaku over the Police Zaku? And can this kit sway the people on the fence about this design? Grab some food and a drink and let's get into it. Released in November 2025 for 2,420 yen SRP, we have the HG MS06 Zaku GQ from Mobile Suit Gundam GQuuuuuux. Looking at the box art, we have a beautiful illustration by Chifuyu Yukoshiro. Please check him out. The box art of the GQuuuuuux line is always amazing. I don't think they have missed on any of them yet. The top of the box has a front and back with a synopsis of the anime. Speaking of which, what are your guys' thoughts on the anime now that we have a couple months to really digest it? Leave it in the comments below. The rest is just the legal information. At the bottom of the box, you have the different actions this kit can do along with the gimmicks. We will get to those later, of course. And here's what it would look like in your backlog, collecting dust, praying for you to open it, but instead you stack more boxes on top of it. And this is number 10 in the GQuuuuuux line. Opening up the box, we have 1, 2, 3 bags of runners and the manual. The manual contains the art and a description of the mobile suit. Feel free to pause if you want to read it all. Opening up the manual, we have the runner list, and surprisingly, we don't have any unused pieces, which is kind of neat considering that this is based on an older kit, the Police Zaku. So maybe Bandai just did some magic on the runner layout so that they can easily swap out the new pieces. The rest is just your standard instructions. At the back, we have some text about the different accessories and weapons it has, and the specs of the mobile suit and lore. And of course, we have the color chart, which this does have a lot of colors, probably maybe for the bunch of markings and the stripings. For the runners, we have a total of 8, all in polystyrene. All of them are labeled Zaku GQ, made in 2025, much like the Police Zaku, but instead, this kit has some modified runners to come with newer parts, most notably in Runner E, which has the bazooka this time instead of the baton and the police shield. And then we have a sheet of sticker-style decals, which includes one for the mono eye. That's it for the contents. Let's get into the build. Starting with the head, it is your standard Zaku affair. We have some soft plastic tubing, which might be a bit problematic to paint with just regular primer. You might have to use some specialized primer. There is a mono eye moving gimmick, which is nice to see, and that's pretty much it. Nothing different from most Zakus. Then the torso. Now we're getting more unique. It's a lot rounder than the typical Zaku torso, and there's more articulation with the ab crunch gimmick. The construction doesn't feel like a Zaku really. We do have some tubings too, but this time we have, well, 2 of them, in contrast to the one the typical Zaku has, leaving us with something that looks very mechanical. The build of the arms are back to being very traditionally Zaku-like. There's nothing too significant to note of, except we do have that same Zaku seam line at the forearm that a lot of the high-grade Zakus get. The main difference of this build compared to the Police Zaku, besides the colors of course, is that the shoulders are the Zaku 2 spike shoulder and shield combination. For the waist, it's very simple, not a lot of parts. We don't have any skirting armor this time, and we also have that interesting design choice with the crotch thruster, which looks funny in my opinion at least. Now the legs, definitely the most interesting and unique part of the build. It isn't very Zaku-like in a traditional sense. The feet are shoe-like, and of course we have those thick thighs with those ginormous balls, which is slightly different from the Police Zaku, which has a circular detail, but this one is smooth. I already built the Police Zaku before, but this still feels like one of the most unique and fresh feeling legs I've ever built in Gunpla, which is good. Whether you like the design or not, that's for you to decide. Lastly, the weapons. The machine gun is a redesign of the original Zaku machine gun. It is the same as the one as we get from the Police Zaku high grade. It is simple but has a nice look to it. The bazooka is the new big accessory that this has, which the Police Zaku doesn't have. The construction is nothing new, it's mostly 2 pieces, but we do have a articulated handle, a secondary handle, and a movable scope. Lastly, the heat hawk is just 1 piece, same as the one in the Police Zaku. So if I were to summarize this build in one word, it is unique. If you want a Zaku that feels fresh but still is a Zaku, this is one to build. Its construction feels new to me, even though I already built this other version months ago. It's always a fun build. Not to mention, it is also very solid, no loose parts, nor do I feel like it will loosen over time. Overall, great build. Here we have the high-grade Zaku from GQuuuuuux. Yes, this is just Zaku, not Zaku 2, because in this timeline, the MS05 Zaku 1 is actually just the MS05 Zaku 0. So this is just the regular Zaku MS06. Just a weird lore tidbit I just found out. Anyways, this is what it would look like out of the box with no modifications. The sticker decals were not applied. Still, the kit looks good. I know the design is a bit controversial, but it really grew on me. Those thighs are just so unique. Love it or hate it, you gotta respect the decision to do something different from any other Zaku. The mechanical designer of this mobile suit is Ikuto Yamashita, who, if you aren't familiar with, is one of the designers, along with Hideki Anno, of Neon Genesis Evangelion, which, if you're a mecha fan, you've probably heard of that little-known anime. This is an interesting take on how a Zaku would look like in a sort of Evangelion-esque style, like we have the other mobile suits in the series, like the G-Fred, the Red Gundam, and the GQuuuuuux. Of course, this doesn't look very Evangelion Unit 1-like, but you get what I mean. But it also follows a similar theme of a more rounded, more biomechanical/human-like design, which to some might be a bit too out there for a mobile suit in the Gundam universe, but for me, I think it's a fresh take that we should welcome. In terms of model kit flaws, there's not a lot, which is great. For the seam lines, we only have a tiny one at the torso that's barely noticeable, and one pretty bad one in the forearm, which is a common thing for high-grade Zakus to have. The only ones that don't have it, if I can recall, is the HG Zaku F2 and the Zaku 2 Revived. The former of which I highly recommend. Please build the Zaku 2 F2 if you haven't built that kit. It is one of the best high-grade Zakus out there. Anyways, the rest of the panel lines are part of the design or made up as panel lines like here at the back of the calves. For the color inaccuracies, besides the sticker-style decals, the only thing we are missing here from the promotional images are the colored fingers in the hands, and the inside of the thrusters around the mobile suit should be in red. It's a high grade, so we don't expect those types of inaccuracies to be solved, so no real deal breakers here. For size comparison, it is 17.5 meters tall in lore, so in 1/144 scale, it is around 12 cm tall. Here's it next to a standard size 1/144 scale kit, which is the R78, which of course is slightly taller. Here's it next to the Police Zaku, and of course, no surprise, they are the same height. And lastly, here's it next to a standard 1/100 scale kit, the MG Gundam The Origin R78. So not the biggest kit, but it is quite wide due to those thick thighs, so it will have some presence, plus it just looks more funkier and will stand out because of that, especially next to more traditional Zakus from the UC timeline. Overall, it's a great looking kit with minimal flaws. The design is a subjective thing, whether you like it or not, that's on you. For the accessories, this is what it comes with out of the box. We have 3 sets of hands, the Zaku machine gun, the Heat Hawk, the bazooka, and an optional commander fin. For the hands, we have a holding square fist for both arms and an open flat hand for the left arm. For the machine gun, it's the same as the one from the Police Zaku. We have a nice redesign of the Zaku machine gun from original UC. There is a seam line in the middle. The magazine can be detached, but there's no way to store it unlike other Zaku kits. There is a secondary handle for a nice double grip. The handle fits onto the hand sandwich style. It holds well, no problem with the weight, and you can actually use the second hand pretty well. There is no way to store this rifle onto the mobile suit. Next is the bazooka, which is exclusive to this kit so far. There is an articulated scope, a secondary handle. There is a seam line though in the middle. The main handle can swing, which is a requirement for bazookas. The handle fits onto the hand, no issue, nothing problematic with the weight or anything. It also double grips pretty well with the secondary handle. We are missing some colors compared to the promotional images. We are missing some colors for the sensor, some red highlights, and some gray. Again, no way to store it onto the mobile suit, unfortunately. Then we have the Heat Hawk, which is just one big piece. It is the same as the Police Zaku. We are missing some colors. Some of these areas should be in green. To hold it, it fits into the holding hand very easily and holds pretty well. There is no way to store this onto the mobile suit again. Lastly, we have the optional commander fin. It is easily swappable. You just take the forehead off and replace it, and that's it. That's it for the accessories. So the accessories of this kit is your standard Zaku affair. Nothing too mind-blowing or amazing. The engineering is that of a high grade, so seam lines are present as well as some missing colors. I do wish for more hand options, but for this price range, it's not that surprising that we only have the sort of bare minimum. The accessories at the end of the day do their job as well. I like that they can pose easily and you can do the double grips on the weapons. However, I do wish we could have stored them when not in use. For the articulation, the mono eye has a moving gimmick. You don't even need to open the head, you can just use a tweezer. The head is on a double ball joint, but the movement is still restricted by a little bit. The shoulder can swing forward and back. Left shoulder can wiggle a little bit, while the shoulder shield can rotate. 360 at the arm. The arm raise is good 90 degrees. 360 at the upper bicep. Also 360 at the lower bicep. The elbow bend is single jointed, but it's still decent. The hands are on ball joints. The ab crunch here is amazing, especially for a Zaku. You get good forward and back. Side to side is also quite decent. It passes the waist wiggle test. 360 at the waist. This kit does not have any skirts, but we do have an interesting crotch thruster that we can wiggle. As expected, the thighs, due to the thickness, are a bit limited in movement, so the sideward raise is quite mid. The rotation is also not the greatest, but you still get sort of enough. The forward kick is amazing though, since no skirts are in the way. The backward kick as well is pretty much as good as it can get. The thrusters at the back can wiggle. The double jointed knee bend is very good. The ankle rotation is full. The ankle downward bend does leave a little bit to be desired. The upward one though is pretty good. The inward and outward bends are great, so this will be good on the ground, and that's it for the articulation. So the articulation is pretty decent overall. You get great torso movement. The ground posing is also quite easy due to the ankles. My only real complaint is that the downward toe bend and the thigh articulation is a bit more limited, mainly due to the big thighs, but honestly you can still get great poses despite that, and it holds up really well. Nothing loose or falling off. Let's summarize this quickly with my likes and dislikes. The first like is that the looks are on point. Objectively, that is. Subjectively, it is hit or miss in terms of the design, but in terms of the objective flaws, the suit has barely any seam lines to fix. The color inaccuracies are few. Most of what is missing actually is just a limitation of being a high grade. My first dislike is that there's no way to store the accessories onto the mobile suit when not in use, which is disappointing as other traditional HG Zakus have that feature. The next like is that the build is solid. Nothing felt loose or finicky, and the experience building it overall is unique and really separates itself from the traditional Zaku 2s of the world. My last dislike is, well, none really. You could say the thigh articulation, but what can you expect with something with those monstrous balls as thighs? It's gonna get in the way, which leads to my last like is that the articulation is great despite that. It can do dynamic poses easily both on the ground and in the air and holds it really well due to the sturdiness of a build. It truly is a joy to pose and it's easy to handle. So is this kit a buy? If you are a fan of the design or even on the fence about it, I definitely recommend this kit. Hate it or love it, the model kit itself is a good product. If you still despise this design, you will still probably hate it if you build it. So it's not that mind-blowing that it will change your mind. So you shouldn't buy this if you still hate it. So are you guys buying this kit? Let me know in the comments below your thoughts. If you found this helpful, feel free to leave a like. And if you aren't subscribed, hopefully I earned your subscription. And as always, thank you for your time. Bye!